Hey, good morning. A lot's happening with us. If you guys have been following our journey from day one, you've seen us go from a wilderness property to now having a little bit of infrastructure with the carport that's giving us rain protection, and we're starting to clear the old log road that could be upwards in the range of 100 years old, probably about 50 years old. And we've found a fork in the road that gives us enough surface area to put our yurt. Nicole and I came out here having prepared longer than 6 months for this adventure. And we love videoing this adventure for you guys to be a fly in the wall and follow us through the process. So if you guys like our videos, support them by commenting down below, subscribing, sharing them, or hitting the like button and turning on our post notifications. Special thanks to those of you who support us even further on our Patreon and who have become our patrons. No matter what tier of patron you've chosen to be, we are thankful for all of you. I'm also really thankful of the neighbors that we've met so far. Yes, we have neighbors. We have acreage, but our neighbors also have acreage. So we're spaced apart pretty far, but the neighbors that we've met so far have been very helpful and very generous. And living in the city, I never knew how important neighbors are until we came out here into the wilderness. Our property, like you know, is boat access only or float plane access only. We're heading into town right now to get some supplies and do some Wi-Fi internet work because we don't have electricity at our property yet. We're hoping to combine some clean energy like solar, but possibly also tap into the BC hydro poles that are right against our property line. One of our neighbors, whose acreage backs up against our acreage, doesn't even live here at the moment, but they phoned in to one of the other neighbors and said, give those new guys some firewood because we know how wet and cold it can be coming here in February. And they hooked us up with firewood that had already been curing from the previous year, and it's keeping us warm, so we're so thankful for that. Other neighbors have helped us with the infrastructure of the town, how the post office works. They have a small museum here that's very cute and shows the history of the small town. This week, another neighbor who lives here part-time came with his family for spring break. They had us over for dinner, and they have a small cabin on their acres that they're not using at the moment. And they told us they'd be more than willing to let Nicole and I go in there to power up our tools or power up our phones and use their shower. I can't even tell you enough how amazing that is because they have a floor in this small little cabin. So Nicole and I can do a little bit of stretching at the end of each hard day of labor. We've been showering using the outdoor bladder shower, which is fun and raw, but having access to that shower will allow us to work even harder and get our yurt up even faster. One of the other neighbors gave us some advice on the local flora and fauna. We've been learning a lot about salmonberry bushes and salal, as well as the edible fungus that's in the area, like morels and chanterelles. But one thing she told us was that usually the bears come out of hibernation about the same time as the skunk cabbage starts to bloom out of the wet areas. So before we had anything, we were in a race against the rain to get our carport structure up to give us some rain shelter and protection. Now we're in a second race against the bears waking up from hibernation and investigating our property before we have shelter up. And the reason why I feel a little time crunch right now is because 3 days ago, I noticed the skunk cabbage starting to come up and blooming. I can't smell it yet, but if you guys know skunk cabbage, it has a distinctive odor. Humans can eat the root just like you would eat yerba manza. It's very medicinal and healthy, and the bears eat it as their primary source of food when they come out of hibernation. So again, we're going to town to get some supplies. We're having the rest of the platform supplies delivered today and Monday for the yurt, and I hope you guys come along on this journey to see if we can win the race of getting shelter up before the bears, the cougars, and the wolves find out that we're exposed. Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's get to work.
Yeah.
I have to ask you an aesthetics thing though.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna make everything level and everything solid. Tell me how high you want the platform at its highest point. So what's the largest amount of gap you want beneath the platform for storage and airflow and things like that?
Didn't we say 3 feet? Show me what 3 feet look like, but I think about 3 feet is what we talked about, so.
Okay, what's with all these little gnats?
I know, they're everywhere. The camera probably can't see, but there's like probably 30 gnats around us right now.
So you think we're hard workers, we're actually not. We just have to stay moving to keep the gnats off our eyes.
I have horses.
Thank you. You like the horses?
Yeah.
Okay, that's 3 feet tall.
Okay.
So it's like visualize walking up and seeing a gap of 3 feet, visualize standing on top of 3 feet.
It gives us enough space underneath for wood, and you want it to be high so then it levels out on the other side.
Correct.
And I think having good airflow underneath is really important. And I think if there's more space, the less like mice and rats and martins that we're going to attract, it would be harder for them to hide in there. I think 3 feet is perfect. I don't think we should go any lower.
Okay, it's on camera. This is speak now or forever hold your peace.
I'm saying it. It's perfect. I think it's great. I think 3 feet is good.
All right, as you wish. One fathom, 2 fathom, 3 fathom. Since I've been a kid, one of my favorite foods on the planet has been these Asian pears. There's many different varieties. I can't wait to get the fruit trees planted so we can grow a wide variety of the Asian pears. Okay, we're gonna get a bucket of seaweed and we're gonna put it in our raised beds that are part of the community garden to build the soil. Building the soil from sustainable local materials, that's the way to do it. I also don't want to decimate one area by picking too much in one area, so we're gonna just walk the whole bank here. The sun is going down, it's a beautiful evening, and we're gonna sustainably harvest the seaweed little by little from each part as we go. I also don't want to step on any crabs or starfish, so I'm trying to respect the ecosystem, but we're going to try to make our own nori and mash up some different kinds of seaweed, dry it, put it together into sheets for our homemade sushi, and use the rest of it to build the soil healthily in our community garden raised beds. Like all natural shipping bubbles that you would get in a package. I just eat it as I go too. We're here at our gardens.
Yes.
Are you guys interested in what seeds we're gonna plant today?
Oh my God.
We'll show you.
Okay.
The seaweed's not gonna break down into the soil overnight, but we're looking for long-term sustainable soil health here. So a lot of the microbes will break down all the ocean minerals, and all those ocean minerals will be fed back into the plants that we'll be eating and growing in this garden. So already the kale's looking good that we just pruned up and gave some fresh soil to, and those mystery onions I found all over are still alive and doing pretty good. And with a good week of rain, everything in here will start to thrive, including the seeds we're gonna plant in a few minutes. I'm gonna put some leeks and some onions here. I'm actually kind of confused as to what to plant what month or what week. I've got a general idea, I know the zone, and I'm going to do some experimentation. So some onions, I have 2 different varieties of onions. I have this leek. I'm gonna throw them out now that it is almost April 1st and see if I can get these guys to produce a harvest within the next 100 days or so. And I'm really excited to plant broccoli here. And I got this variety that puts off really nice heads of broccoli, but they're purple. Purple broccoli. Okay, and then I've got a few zinnia flowers, which I love to eat. They're an edible flower. Really cool seeds. They look almost like arrowheads, like you would find in the desert. See the zinnia seeds here? They look really cool. Like mini arrowheads. And then I've got some chamomile. I love chamomile, especially in a garden format. It grows wild in a lot of places around the world, and I'm gonna sprinkle the chamomile, which is the smallest seed you've ever seen. You can't even barely see it. It's almost like pepper, like you would put on a salad. And I'm gonna just sprinkle the chamomile throughout the garden. And then I know what they look like when they pop up. I'll just keep the strongest ones and thin out the others. I think you're gonna win this friendly competition, don't you?
Maybe.
I didn't see anybody in the comments. Not one person said Team Jake. Everybody said Team Nicole.
I think a couple of people said Team Jake.
They must have been pulling my leg or something.
Just as long as we get an abundance of food, I think I'll be okay, but I'm gonna win.
Oh my God. Comment below. Who's gonna win? I wanted to show you guys the chamomile. It almost looks like sand. Look at how small these little seeds are. Pretty amazing. Oh God. What did you do that for? Trying to win by me stepping on my soil. We are calling our property Blackfish Hollow, or Mach Inu in Kwakwala. I've wanted to see whales since coming to the island. It was evening time, our day was almost over, and our neighbor spotted spouts way out in the water. Okay, so we were going to retire for the night, and then our neighbors, the Petersons, saw some spouts out in the water with the eagle eyes that they have. And we saw some whales, orcas or something, so they said let's go on our boat and try to stay a safe, legal distance away. What do you think?
Yes.
I respect these incredible creatures so much, so we didn't want to get in the way of their swimming, hunting, migration, or pod. We stayed off to the side, probably more than 500 to 1,000 meters, and watched from a distance. Did you see him?
Just the fin.
It's
only,
a big
only
old,
the fin.
it's a big old orca dorsal fin.
Yeah.
There were several babies and adolescents, and what looked like 2 large males in the front and the back of the pod as teachers, investigators, and security. I had my DSLR zoom lens and external mic ready and was hoping to pick up some of their beautiful sights and sounds. We positioned ourselves about 400 meters away from the pod near the Narrows and turned the engine off and just floated silently for about 20 or 30 minutes.
That's pretty cool. They're like right up on shore there.
Getting the belly rub. Here comes Big Daddy.
Tortoise?
Where's the Big Daddy?
Those must be just humans over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're teaching them how to hunt.
For sure, yeah. We're seeing school in session right now.
Oh, look at that. Dude. A little too short for that one. Oh, such a cool sound. Nice. Little flip.
That was cool.
That's such a cool sound.
Yeah.
Oh, there's 4 babies there.
They're seriously cute, like super cute, like little ocean polar bears. Or not polar bears, but pandas. The large male with enormous dorsal fins submerged several times, and we hadn't seen him for at least 10 minutes. We were watching the babies hunting, learning, and exploring, when out of nowhere, Big Daddy emerged to check us out.
Can you get that one? Yes! Yeah. I need to get down. I need to get some shots.
Oh, he's still right there.
He's right there.
I think
Everyone needs my way. Oh, look at them all. Top quality content. That big one scared me.
must be feeding there again, hey? Look at him die.
Take a look.
He's so close to the rock.
Yeah, well, he rubs his belly on it, right?
Yeah.
Good old back scratch. Wow. Big old tail flip would be absolutely amazing.
That was awesome. That was so cool.
Wow.